Good morning, dear Minister, dear Honorable Gori, dear authorities, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the second day of this international symposium, which is named EU-Italy Energy Days. So we have this time selected how to achieve near zero emission by 2050. So I think it's perfect just to put the finger into the real bound, because we know that now energy transition is just at the center of international debate. So welcome all of you. Just to introduce myself for those who do not know me, I am Giovanni De Santi. I am working for the Politecnico of Chiorino, and I'm the chairman of this symposium. So in a few minutes, as you will see now from your, I think you do have the agenda, we will go through immediately the institutional greetings. Then we will have a political debate, and we will ask Honorable Gori and Honorable Pichetto, Fratin, to make the institutional and political speeches. Then we will go through an important moment, because Politecnico has set up a new international award for innovation. So we will celebrate the Innovation International Award. And then we will go through this in this scientific technical panel among experts in the energy field. And will be the conclusion of the morning. However, before we open the dance, I would like to introduce the person who hosts us, all of us here in this, I would say, what can I say, magnificent, iconic hall, which is one of the many treasures in Torino. So I'd like very much to ask the President of the Museo Nazionale del Risorgimento Italiano, Architetto Luisa Papotti, to come to the podium and to welcome you all. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm pleased and honored to welcome you here today. A special thanks to the Dean of the Politecnico, Paolo Corgnati, for choosing Museo Nazionale del Risorgimento, our museum, and for choosing this magnificent palace, Palazzo Carignano, whose long history began at the middle of the 17th century, when it was built by a famous Baroque architect, Guarino Guarini, to be the palace of the Princess of Carignano, a cadet branch of the royal house. But 2 centuries later, in 1848, when a revolutionary wave shook many European countries, and Piedmont too, a constitutional act was promulgated, and the beautiful ballroom, oval ballroom by Guarino Guarini, became the first chamber of deputies of the Savoy reign, the first parliament, il Parlamento Subalpino. There, just in front of us, the history of the unification of our country began and even ended in 1861, when the King, Vittorio Emanuele, proclaimed himself first king of the unified Italy. He decided, meantime, to enlarge the palace, to build a new wing, and to build this impressive, huge room as a new parliament for the larger chamber of deputies of the new reign. But you see, we know in a few years, the capital city of Italy was moved to Florence, then to Rome, and so this room was never used as intended. But if you look up, you can see that still now, this room tells a story, tells about a dream of a new country, independent, unified, pacified, strongly supported. You see how strong are the giants there, strongly supported by these ideals, and confident in the power of wisdom, the wisdom of the new government. On the ceiling, the fresco is the Triumph of Wisdom by Francesco Gonin. And moreover, confident in the power of knowledge, of scientific knowledge, of humanistic knowledge, the allegorical figures in the corner. So today it is under the sign of wisdom, under the sign of knowledge, that I welcome you. Thank you for coming and buon lavoro.
Thank you very much, Architetto Papotti. Very impressive, but this is very close to our heart. This room is absolutely centered in our history. So now I would like to go through the different authorities invited. So the very first is Magnifico Rettore del Politecnico di Torino, Professor Stefano Paolo Corgnati. Grazie.
Dear authorities, dear colleagues, dear friends, welcome at Museo del Risorgimento. I think the perfect place where to stimulate a dialogue between Europe and Italy. First, I would like to express my gratitude to the Minister of Environment and Energy Security, Gilberto Pichetto Fratin, because he very first, believed in the crucial role of this kind of event to promote this kind of dialogue. We were together at the very first idea, and this is the second edition, and I really think also, thanks to the feedbacks that we had yesterday, that we can be really a tradition in promoting this kind of dialogue. Politecnico di Torino in December approved the strategic plan. And at the very top of the strategic plan, he said that we are an institution to support institutions. And I think this is a very important key point for my Politecnico di Torino, to have a role in expressing and facilitating dialogue between governmental bodies, between researchers, between industrial sector and policymakers. In the very next year, I think that we can increase a lot this activity at Politecnico di Torino, and this event is a plastic evidence in this new line that put Politecnico di Torino as an interpreter of the dialogue between Europe and Italy. Dear Stefano, Mayor, dear Elena, Vice President of the region, moreover, I think that our city, our region, is the perfect place to implement innovation. Energy transition is innovation, and we are really in the right time to be a place where perform experimental activity, to be pilot, to drive innovation in Italy and Europe. So I think all together we are ready, and we are ready to play this crucial role for the growing on our society. Thanks a lot and enjoy this event.
Thank you, Magnifico Rettore. Thank you, dear Stefano. Now I kindly ask the Vice President of Regione Piemonte, Dottoressa Elena Chiorino, to come to the podium. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for these moments. This symposium is really, really important, I think, even for our city, for our region, but even for our nation. The climate change is an important things that we have to effort, but it's really important to have a scientific approach. And so the Politecnico role is really important for us in this place where we have to think about the climate change, but even about new technologies, even about raw materials, and everything we need to have environmental strategy that can guarantee our effort in the great for the great Italy, for our great Italy in the world. I think that there is I think that the new Green Deal needs to be reviewed because there are lots of problems about this time of Green Deal. And so to have a symposium like this, that I hope that it can be continued in the year, because it marks the importance of the science research is really, really important for our nation and the position of our nation in Europe and in their policy. So really, thanks, dear Rettore, for what you are thinking, what you are doing together with Politecnico. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much, Dottoressa Chiorino. So now my personal pleasure to invite the Mayor of Torino, Professor Stefano Lo Russo.
Hello, everybody. Welcome here in Torino to all the guests, authorities, Minister. Thank you very much for your decision about to stay in Torino for this very important event. Welcome in the capital, European Capital of Innovation 2024-2025, which is the recognized target that the European Commission gave us last year. And I think that it is the perfect place, as the Rector Stefano Corgnati said, in which we can stay to discuss about these very fundamental topics. 2050 is tomorrow. Is not so far from the present state, is not so far from today. So we have to work hardly to check what could be the strategy at the European Union level, in the awareness that alone we are too small to stay in a changing world. The news that are coming overseas are completely destroying what we thought in the last decades and what we are designed for European Union and for the strategy of European Union in terms of climate change and in terms of energy strategies. And so the answer is and should be to be more strong as Europeans, to be more effective in terms of innovation, to be more capable to take through innovation what could be the challenge to fight against the climate change and to reduce our anthropogenic impact. This is the key in which we are working on. As I agree with the Vice President Chiorino, we have to discuss, we have maybe to change what could be the strategies as we defined in the last years of the European Union, without taking our horizon. That should be to have a policy that works fighting against the climate change, not working for the climate change, fighting against the emission. Near zero is near. How near we have to be to zero emission target? In this framework, we have several pillars that we have to check and to use. One that is fundamental is science, is technology, is innovation. We have to take decisions focusing on the target, focusing on the horizon, focusing on the perspective but with science-based approach. That is fundamental, is a change of mind, especially for politicians, especially for the decision maker that have to avoid to think about only ideological way, but taking numbers, taking strategy, and working on this framework. I think that if we, as European citizens, will work with this aim, many of the problems of our competitiveness for our enterprises, for the human well-being in all the Union will be overcome. We will put our university system, enterprises system, industry, technology, innovation on the top and not on the bottom of the world ranking scale. This is the spirit in which we pose ourselves as a city, with the Politecnico di Torino, with the energy center in the Politecnico di Torino, that is one of the key pillars, as the Minister, Gilberto, Pichetto, Fratin know very well, is one of the top-level decision support for the decision, for the government, and for all the politicians that have to decide what is the track, but without making confusion. We have to stay in the track, not go back. We have to work on the ecological and to the changing in the way in which we can guarantee development and on the same stage guarantee the environmental friendly strategy that is what our children ask to us. Thinking to the future generation, avoiding to be egoist, and working for a future in which everybody, starting from Torino, starting from this discussion day and this wonderful place, we have to pose to the nation and to the European Union. In Torino, many things born, Italy, born here. This is the place in which many things that we are common to use born. I hope that in Torino will be based the discussion between the different options and the decision to make European Union stronger than now. Thank you very much and enjoy your symposium.
Thank you very much, dear Mayor. I think you already put the emphasis on many challenges that we now as a European, we need to, in a way or another, we need to find a solution, especially now after the new administration, US administration. There will be definitely key discussion on whether, how, and by when to proceed and to pursue this energy transition. This will be the key element, the key discussion. And this is why we have organized this debate, which is now going to be open. So energy transition, priorities in the European and Italian policy agenda. This is now the start of this kind of key debate, how Italy, Europe will pose themselves in the context, in the world context. So what are the priorities, the perspective? So we start now with the Vice President of the ITRE committee. ITRE means in Industry, Trade, Research and Energy Committee of the European Parliament, Onorevole Gori. Thank you, Onorevole.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for inviting me. I've been told that I could speak either in Italian or in English, so I will take the opportunity to make my intervention in Italian. Un saluto alle autorità, al Ministro Pichetto Fratin, al Rettore, al Sindaco, alla Vicepresidente della Regione Piemonte. Comincio dicendo che l'articolazione del confronto attivato in occasione di questi Italy Energy Days riflette esattamente quello delle iniziative avviate dall'Unione Europea sul fronte delle politiche energetiche, politiche che sono volte a un doppio obiettivo: coniugare la competitività europea e la decarbonizzazione della nostra economia. Si tratta di un obiettivo molto ambizioso, come tutti sappiamo, non privo di difficoltà, anzi, ma che se affrontato con determinazione, equilibrio, rigore scientifico, può conseguire il risultato. Decisivo è mantenersi aperti all'innovazione e anzi praticarla, a maggior ragione per un paese come il nostro, che sul fronte dell'approvvigionamento energetico sconta dipendenze e ritardi e che proprio per questo, mentre persegue l'obiettivo di una progressiva riduzione delle emissioni climalteranti, ha un bisogno vitale di rafforzare la propria autonomia e di ridurre i costi energetici. Trovo importante quindi che il dibattito che ha caratterizzato la prima giornata di questo evento abbia riguardato soprattutto le nuove tecnologie che potranno accompagnare la transizione energetica nel nostro Paese, dal nucleare di nuova generazione, che proprio qui a Torino vede svilupparsi un progetto di grandissimo interesse, alla produzione di idrogeno verde, allo sviluppo della carbon capture and storage, e che questo dibattito inizi ad essere concreto, a vedere dei fatti finalmente compiersi. Del resto ne va, come sappiamo, non solo della sostenibilità dei costi energetici per famiglie e imprese, e quindi certo della competitività di queste ultime, ma in diversi casi della sopravvivenza di interi comparti industriali. Ridurre il costo dell'energia è quindi tra i primi e più rilevanti impegni che l'Unione Europea, la nuova Commissione, il Parlamento si trovano di fronte. A riprova di questo, il 26 febbraio, nello stesso giorno in cui verrà pubblicato il Clean Industrial Deal, la Commissione presenterà anche il piano di azione per prezzi dell'energia accessibili, così si chiamerà, che confidiamo contenga misure efficaci. In Italia questa necessità, quella di ridurre il costo dell'energia, è ancora più viva che altrove, scontando il nostro Paese, come dicevo, una maggiore dipendenza dal gas, che come sapete a partire dall'invasione dell'Ucraina rappresenta la fonte energetica più costosa e che purtroppo è anche quella che in virtù del meccanismo del prezzo marginale determina per la maggior parte del tempo il prezzo dell'energia elettrica sul mercato cosiddetto spot. Prezzi elevati del gas significano prezzi elevati dell'elettricità. I numeri sono noti. Nel 2024 il prezzo medio dell'energia elettrica nel nostro paese all'ingrosso si è attestato sui 108 euro a megawattora, il 38% in più rispetto alla Germania, il 72% in più rispetto alla Spagna, l'87% più della Francia, per non dire di quanti multipli, quante volte il costo della nostra energia elettrica superi quello pagato dai competitor americani o cinesi delle nostre imprese. In questo quadro diversificato, in cui la Francia si caratterizza, come sappiamo, per il ricorso all'opzione nucleare, perseguito con costanza nel corso degli ultimi decenni, spicca il caso della Spagna, particolarmente dimostrativo, a mio parere, dei benefici che derivano dalla combinazione di due fattori. Una grande diversificazione della generazione energetica, che comprende una significativa quota di nucleare, e un'acquisita prevalenza delle fonti rinnovabili. Il risultato è quello di alleggerire il ricorso al gas, che in Spagna pesa solo per il 12% degli approvvigionamenti e finisce quindi per impattare molto meno nella determinazione del prezzo complessivo dell'energia elettrica. In aggiunta, la Spagna si segnala anche come il paese in cui meglio funziona la contrattualizzazione di lungo termine, con un volume dell'energia elettrica acquistata attraverso i PPA pari a 6 volte la quota dell'Italia nel 2023. Molti sono ovviamente i fattori che incidono sul prezzo dell'energia. Il rapporto Draghi si sofferma per esempio sulla mancata integrazione dei mercati dell'elettricità e sui risparmi che ne potrebbero invece derivare, salvo segnalare anche la necessità di investimenti che prevengano le strozzature che facilmente si determineranno con la necessità di trasferire crescenti quantità di energia generata in modo intermittente. Oppure sui costi, si sofferma ancora sui costi legati a processi di autorizzazione lunghi e incerti per le nuove reti e nuovi impianti di generazione, che ancora incontrano anche nel nostro Paese ostacoli significativi. Ovviamente l'impatto dei costi dell'energia è direttamente collegato alla quantità dell'energia consumata, a prescindere dalla fonte. È quindi particolarmente rilevante e critico per le imprese energivore, i cui cicli produttivi richiedono appunto grandi quantità di energia. Si tratti di combustibili fossili o di elettricità, soprattutto se esposte alla competizione internazionale, come accade per i settori dell'acciaio, dell'alluminio, delle ceramiche, del vetro, per l'industria chimica, come per quella della carta o del legno. Alcune di queste consumano combustibili fossili, principalmente gas, altre invece, penso all'acciaio italiano, sono già molto avanti nel percorso di decarbonizzazione e di elettrificazione. Quindi riuscire a fornire a queste imprese energie a costi contenuti in un contesto competitivo estremamente difficile è decisivo per la loro sopravvivenza. Trovo quindi estremamente positiva l'attivazione dell'Energy Release, il cui primo bando è in scadenza il 14 febbraio. L'Energy Release consente, come molti di voi sapranno, alle aziende energivore di richiedere al GSE un anticipo di energia elettrica ad un prezzo fisso e calmierato per 3 anni, auspicabilmente di più, in cambio dell'impegno a realizzare nei 40 mesi successivi impianti di rinnovabili che restituiranno l'energia anticipata. Ancorché, ora si tratta quindi di una best practice italiana, ancorché in via di attivazione, che sarebbe a mio giudizio importantissimo riuscire a trasferire a livello europeo, oltre che estendere nella dimensione, signor Ministro, viste le previsioni sulla domanda che eccede di molto, pare, le disponibilità. E così il gas release per le aziende energivore per le quali il processo di elettrificazione risulta oggettivamente più difficile. Proprio Mario Draghi nel suo rapporto ha molto battuto su un punto, la necessità di disaccoppiare il più possibile la delle energie rinnovabili dal prezzo dei combustibili fossili, nel nostro caso del gas. Qualcuno ha inteso che proponesse il superamento del meccanismo del prezzo marginale, ma non è quello che è scritto nel rapporto. Disaccoppiare significa invece essenzialmente fare il più possibile ricorso ai contratti di lungo termine, si tratti di PPA o di contratti per differenza bidirezionali, per limitare il trasferimento dei prezzi del gas sui prezzi dell'elettricità. Purtroppo in Italia, come abbiamo visto, queste soluzioni contrattuali hanno avuto fin qui uno scarso sviluppo, frenate dal prezzo elevato dell'energia elettrica, dal rischio finanziario connesso ai contratti di compravendita di lungo termine e da una generale preferenza degli operatori delle rinnovabili per il mercato spot, considerato più sicuro e più remunerativo. Più volte è stato auspicato il rafforzamento del mercato dei contratti a lungo termine attraverso l'introduzione di qualche forma di de-risking della transazione commerciale. Ora, ed è certamente una buona notizia, non faccio tanto l'opposizione oggi, Ministro, mi spiace, il recente decreto del Governo su misure di emergenza e attuazione del PNRR pare aver individuato una strada promettente. Prevede infatti che il GSE possa svolgere il ruolo di garante di ultima istanza per i PPA che verranno negoziati tra produttori e imprese consumatrici sulla piattaforma del gestore del mercato elettrico. È sicuramente, ripeto, un passo importante, ma io vorrei provare a proporre qualcosa in più, andare oltre, rilanciando qui 2 proposte che in qualche modo si parlano. La prima è stata avanzata da Confindustria e riguarda ancora il mercato delle imprese e la promozione dei contratti a lungo termine. In pratica si propone che il GSE non si limiti a fare da garante di ultima istanza, ma stipuli direttamente i contratti di lungo termine per l'acquisto di energia rinnovabile, per poi rivenderla a beneficio delle imprese consumatrici. Confindustria ha calcolato che se sulla piattaforma venisse contrattualizzata secondo questa formula l'energia di tutte le imprese a 65 euro a megawattora, che è il prezzo di generazione delle rinnovabili di grande scala, lo stesso fissato per l'Energy Release, si otterrebbe un risparmio di 5 miliardi di euro l'anno, mentre costi e differenziali finanziari verrebbero coperti da una parte dei proventi delle aste ETS. La seconda proposta riguarda invece il mercato delle famiglie, in particolare gli oltre 3 milioni di utenti cosiddetti vulnerabili che recentemente hanno subito significativi rincari nel passaggio dal mercato tutelato al mercato libero. La proposta in breve è quella di riformare il ruolo dell'acquirente unico, che è la società pubblica senza fine di lucro interamente partecipata dal GSE, per consentirgli di agire, anche qui utilizzando la formula dei PPA, dei contratti di lungo termine, come centrale di acquisto di energia rinnovabile a prezzi più contenuti di quelli del mercato spot, per poi redistribuirla agli utenti vulnerabili alle migliori condizioni. Si otterrebbe così nel complesso, insieme alla riduzione delle emissioni, un significativo disaccoppiamento del prezzo dell'energia da rinnovabili rispetto a quello del gas, esattamente come suggerito dal rapporto Draghi. Nel primo caso con evidente beneficio per la competitività delle imprese, nel secondo a vantaggio delle fasce più deboli della popolazione. Vi ringrazio.
Onorevole Gori, grazie. Grazie per aver cominciato a porre delle domande concrete, delle proposte concrete da parte del Parlamento europeo al nostro Paese per come portare avanti questa discussione, questa politica che generi sì, disaccoppiamento, ma secondo la scienza c'è anche bisogno poi di produrre energia elettrica in maniera innovativa. No? Il disaccoppiamento va bene, ma se continuiamo a non produrre energia elettrica a costi competitivi sarà ben difficile avere una soluzione. Comunque, ripeto, questo è proprio il tema che andremo poi a dibattere nella sessione seguente. Adesso vorrei veramente, con mio piacere e anche onore, dare la parola al Ministro dell'Ambiente e della Sicurezza Energetica italiano, onorevole Pichetto Fratin. Grazie.
Innanzitutto grazie dell'importanza di questo incontro e un grazie particolare al Politecnico e naturalmente a Torino, terra dove è nata la SIP, che tutti pensano che era la società idroelettrica, tanto per parlarci di energia, ma divenne la società dei telefoni e quindi la madre poi di quella che è stata la madre attuale della team, se vogliamo, come percorso. Ecco cos'è questa città. No, io dico quindi un grazie al Rettore, in modo particolare un saluto all'autorità. Devo dire, dopo l'intervento di Gori posso andare anche molto più sul leggero, perché diciamo che il tema che ha sviscerato sul contesto che stiamo vivendo è quello e i percorsi sono quelli che stiamo analizzando, ma partendo anche da considerazione del tema generale. Noi abbiamo un passato, il passato è quello, ci viviamo a flash con cambiamento climatico, intervento, accordo del 2015 di Parigi 2015, quando non c'era ancora contezza di quello che sarebbe stata la crisi energetica e l'esplosione del consumo energetico. Poi su Parigi adesso Trump esce l'accordo del Trattato di Parigi, ma l'aveva già fatto l'altra volta, quindi non cambia proprio niente, non è cambiato nulla. E tutto questo, quindi le azioni, la crisi energetica a partire dal 2021 con una situazione di interventi eccezionali che hanno portato anche il bilancio dello Stato, di interventi sia col governo Conte sia col governo Draghi, continuando con il governo Meloni, perché chiaramente abbiamo dovuto fare interventi molto forti e naturalmente da questo due questioni: gestire il transitorio, che è il transitorio attuale, l'oggi, quello indicato dal precedente intervento dell'onorevole Gori, l'oggi, il breve periodo, il medio periodo, i 3, 4, 5 anni, su quale dobbiamo svolgere tutto un percorso di strutturazione su tutto il fronte energetico. E nel gestire tutto questo credo che il tema di mantenere la competitività del nostro sistema industriale è fondamentale. Noi dobbiamo assolutamente, e noi non possiamo andare avanti con una condizione dove abbiamo l'energia che, ho dato i dati ieri alla Camera nell'informativa, parte sono quelli indicati da Gori, e che un'energia dove le nostre imprese pagano il doppio o il 50% in più o il 40% in più rispetto ai grandi competitor. I grandi competitor sono Francia, sono Spagna e la Germania. Peraltro con la Germania che è l'alleato e il competitor più vicino a noi. Quando parliamo del nostro sistema industriale e parliamo del sistema industriale tedesco, parliamo dello stesso sistema industriale, perché quando parliamo dell'automotive, che è un tema in questa città caro e sentito, ma la Volkswagen è tedesca o è italiana? Perché metà dell'auto è prodotto in Italia. Quindi, voi vedete, questa integrazione però ci porta, se i livelli sono sfasati rispetto al costo dell'energia, a una situazione di perdita di competitività, quindi di danno che facciamo ora, ma in particolare per le future generazioni. Ecco quindi la necessità di una serie di interventi che sono interventi ponte. Energy release, citata, è un intervento ponte. Energy release che abbiamo prevista per 23 terawatt, 23 terawattora è il consumo di quel blocco di 4.000 imprese, 4.000 grandi imprese, circa 4.000 grandi imprese, che fortemente energivore, perché altrimenti queste uscivano dal mercato, non riuscivano più a ottenere. Chiaro che dobbiamo trovare un percorso per tutte, perché anche le altre ce l'hanno, cioè queste chiudevano. Gas release, al di là di tutta la discussione aperta sulla questione gas, sulla trivellazione dal 12 ai 9 mesi, vedo la mia amica Elisa che mi contesta su tutto questo, ma di là di tutto questo noi dobbiamo trovare un percorso per i grandi gasivori, e anch'io condivido che mi viene ogni tanto dire: ma perché il nostro sistema industriale non ha fatto contratti un po' più lunghi invece che il mercato spot? Sì, però noi siamo un paese molto amante della quotidianità e della scommessa quotidiana, allora, perché effettivamente potevamo oggi essere un po' più tranquilli rispetto al prezzo che non ho guardato stamattina, ma siamo sui 50, credo che non si sia mosso tanto rispetto a ieri, che era andato perfino oltre ai 50 euro al megawattora. Le azioni da farsi quindi in questo periodo ponte sono sostanzialmente riuscire ad intervenire sul prezzo, oltre che sulle forniture, ma sulle forniture lo dico dopo. Intervenire sul prezzo, la composizione del prezzo dell'energia elettrica attualmente è, se prendiamo una base, un valore 130, perché ormai su 130 ho 90 di energia elettrica circa. 90 di energia elettrica, 10-15 euro di onere di sistema e 20-25 euro di ETS. Quindi il ragionamento è: o intervengo col bilancio dello Stato sull'energia, o intervengo sempre naturalmente con conseguenze sugli equilibri del bilancio dello Stato, sugli ETS, o porto sulla fiscalità e la parte di oneri di sistema. Ecco, su questo noi dobbiamo ragionare se vogliamo trovare un meccanismo di mitigazione che riguardi l'altra fascia di imprese e le famiglie, perché o comunque mitigare o comunque mettere un tetto. E naturalmente tutto questo ci porta a fare tutta una serie di valutazioni su come a sua volta intervenire. Perché? Perché noi ci troviamo, la grande disfunzione è che il 40% della nostra energia è generata da gas, ma il 70% del prezzo 70% del tempo che determina il prezzo è generato dal gas. Di conseguenza abbiamo quello che è stato il meccanismo che per decenni ha funzionato ed era il migliore, se vogliamo, adesso sta dimostrando tutta la sua inadeguatezza. Da qui la necessità di intervenire a livello europeo, da qui anche il ragionamento, disaccoppiamento. Disaccoppiamento cosa significa? Significa cambiare le regole, ma cambiare le regole dobbiamo cambiare a livello europeo. Il cambiarle solo a livello nazionale non c'è possibile, perché saremmo noi a pagare i benefici degli altri. Certo, la Spagna si può fare un ragionamento Spagna, ma mi fermo qui, rispetto ad alcune situazioni. Qual è l'azione? Che la Spagna ha avuto la sfortuna di avere prima una dittatura, poi che l'ha isolata dalla Francia, poi da sempre i Pirenei che eleggono dalla Francia, da sempre il muro della Francia nei confronti della Spagna, perché poi in realtà è questa, al punto che manco le rotaie sono della stessa dimensione, e quindi si è attrezzata in proprio. La Spagna è un regno repubblica autonoma che dobbiamo seguire, guardare, ma di fatto ha dovuto rendersi autosufficiente da sola. Da lì un numero di rigassificatori enorme, che qui perché? Perché l'unico modo era andare a raccogliere gas già allora in tutto il mondo. Noi col 2021 abbiamo dovuto girare i buoi, abbiamo dovuto diversificare i fornitori, e oggi abbiamo la sicurezza della quantità, ma non del prezzo, con anche, e poi passo, altrimenti la faccio troppo lunga, con anche il fatto di un timore che io esprimo. Quello che era il trend ordinario per quanto riguarda i prezzi era che d'inverno fa molto freddo, il prezzo sale, d'estate il prezzo scende e si va a non rimpinguare gli stoccaggi. Il timore, io lo dico francamente, non voglio influenzare le borse, perché tutti qui, anche Goldman Sachs lo fa, è che non cali il prezzo durante la prossima estate. Da lì la necessità e l'atto di indirizzo che la mia struttura sta preparando per attivare l'asta di stoccaggio subito. Quindi, che comunque sarebbero stoccaggi a prezzi praticamente 70% in più dell'anno scorso. Questo è il quadro che noi abbiamo attualmente di fronte. E questo è un quadro che noi dobbiamo riuscire a gestire per questo ponte, 3, 4, 5 anni, fino ad avere il disegno più completo. Il disegno completo è la diversificazione delle fonti di gas, che è la fonte d'accompagnamento, secondo quanto previsto dal PIEC, fino al 2050, lo sviluppo delle rinnovabili, che è naturalmente a fianco del far saltare il meccanismo comunque di calcolo dell'energia, e nello sviluppo delle rinnovabili naturalmente la crescita di eolico, fotovoltaico, nuovo geotermico che va fino a 4.000 metri e che non consuma acqua, la partita delle nuove energie dell'idrogeno. Pochi giorni fa abbiamo presentato l'accordo Italia, Austria, Germania, con la partecipazione anche della Svizzera, che è interessata a un ragionamento di idrogeno, ma parliamoci chiaro, un ragionamento di idrogeno che si sviluppa in modo forte, che prevede il South Corridor 3.600 km, è un qualcosa che vedremo anche questo fra 5, 6, 7 anni, perché me lo insegnate voi ingegneri del Politecnico, prima che l'industria cambi i tubi, ci va un attimo. Quindi in linea teorica si riesce a illustrare molto bene, alla lavagna l'esercizio viene perfettamente e sempre giusto, ma il passaggio successivo, quello di andare in pratica, ci vuole del tempo. Ecco perché io parlo di ponti e parlo di futuro, quindi il futuro certamente c'è. e c'è con una diversificazione della fonte, diciamo, di accompagnamento, che è il gas, c'è con il nuovo geotermico, c'è con il solare, c'è con l'eolico, c'è anche purtroppo la resistenza, perché tutti vogliono il solare e l'eolico, ma lo vorrebbero nel campo del vicino. E purtroppo abbiamo anche regioni addirittura che fanno resistenza oltre il limite. Questo ci vuole cautela, dobbiamo tutelare il territorio, dobbiamo tutelare le attività agricole, i beni patrimoniali, però se tuteliamo tutto moriamo di tutela, quindi su questo dobbiamo stare decisamente attenti. E però raggiunti questi livelli, per forza noi dobbiamo arrivare anche a dare una continuità, e la continuità di energia neutra, di energia senza emissione, sarà il nuovo nucleare. Vi dico solo una cosa: io ho presentato il disegno di legge, mi appassiona anche il dibattito, Buono lo sa, quello che è il mio dovere, il nostro dovere è mettere nella condizione questo Paese, chi sarà il decisore, nel momento in cui ci sia lo strumento, e lo strumento sarà lo small reactor, l'advanced reactor o il reattore da fusione, di valutare e decidere. E la sua valutazione, la sua decisione a quel punto sarà in merito a prezzo dello strumento, prezzo dell'energia, sicurezza, sarà quella la valutazione. Se lo small reactor di buono costa troppo, produce energia che costa troppo e mi dà dei dubbi sulla sicurezza, continuo ad andare avanti come prima. Teniamo presente una cosa: la previsione che abbiamo visto nel PNIEC, e poi chiudo, è stata di 680 terawattora di domanda al 2050, tendente a 680 terawattora. Quando Salvemini e i miei mi hanno dato questo numero, ho detto, non è che mi fate, poi mi sbattono la porta in faccia e mi dicono, ma questa è una gradassata, una sparata grossa. A 1 anno e mezzo di distanza comincio a avere i seri dubbi di essermi sbagliato in meno, lo dico sinceramente, perché il cambiamento che l'innovazione dà è talmente forte che si giustifica come mio nonno potesse avere il contatore da 1,5 kg e adesso io da 6, nonostante quello riesce ogni tanto a farlo saltare mia moglie. Ma questa è la realtà che stiamo vivendo. E chiudendo, riprendo il saluto di Stefano Corgnati, che ha parlato di innovazione. Guardate, signori, il cambiamento che stiamo vivendo, la transizione, è innovazione. Innovazione vuol dire sviluppo, vuol dire fare la scelta per i soggetti decisori, per gli stakeholder, per coloro che influenzano, come il Politecnico, perché danno gli strumenti, vuol dire avere la responsabilità di consegnare, di far stare questo Paese nel gruppo di testa, anziché nel gruppo di coda. Questa è la sfida che abbiamo tutti, sperando di non sbagliare. Grazie.
Grazie signor Ministro. Devo dire che sia a lei, signor Ministro, che all'onorevole Gori sono estremamente grato, perché i vostri 2 interventi molto ricchi, ci hanno dato degli spunti estremamente interessanti. Sono stati interventi molto concreti, realistici, che ci spingono tutti noi della comunità scientifica e della comunità imprenditoriale che abbiamo qui a Torino a seguire quello che voi ci avete stimolato, cioè vogliamo l'innovazione, vogliamo risolvere i problemi che abbiamo da risolvere e quindi è giusto porci queste domande. Quindi io sono sicuro che nel dibattito che segue immediatamente andremo a analizzare e possibilmente dare una risposta a quelle che voi avete già identificato come le sfide principali, non solo per l'Italia, ma in generale per l'Europa. Però prima di questo dibattito che segue immediatamente, chiedo appunto al Rettore del Politecnico di raggiungermi sul podio, perché abbiamo un momento estremamente, vorrei dire innovativo, ma anche molto interessante, perché lanciamo e proclamiamo il nuovo award, il nuovo premio internazionale che il Politecnico di Torino vuole lanciare per l'innovazione. Quindi, se mi permettete adesso, I shift back to English, because we do have many guests, and I would like to, again, to announce this new award. So, as we said, we all agree that since many years, possibly more than a decade, the entire European Union knows that we do need to develop capability to innovate, to renovate. And even now, more than ever, the international situation, being Asia or American, does not give us any delay. We need to push innovation. We need to increase our capacity and our capability to develop innovative solutions. So we do need to react in this emergency situation. So in this context, as the Minister said, we do have a unique opportunity for the Politecnico di Torino, as one of the prestigious representatives of the European and Italian academia, to celebrate the best European skills by creating an international award to be attributed every year to a distinguished leader in this field. So, to do this, the Rector has created a new international high-level group, which is composed by experts, by key persons coming from UK, Latvia, Germany, France, Italy, and I would like to mention them all. Some of them are here present, and I really would like them to stand up when I mention them. So I have the privilege to chair this high-level group together with my friend, the Professor Jean-Michel Glachon, who is professor from France. He's the ex-director of the Florence School of Regulation. We do have Professor Ronnie Bellmans, I think he's here. Thank you, Ronnie. We do have Professor Lianche from United Kingdom. We do have Professor Andrew Peebles, the former Commissioner for Energy and for Competition in the European Commission. We do have Dr. Schittekat from Belgium. We do have Dr. Caterina Sicomani, I think she's here. The previous, thank you, Caterina. She was director in the European Commission, DG GROW. We have Dr. Peter Vis, again here, from Belgium. We have Professor Lucia Visconti Parisio from University of Milano Bicocca, so economist. And we have finally Dr. Georg Zachmann from Germany. I think she is here, I hope. He's here, but maybe he's not present. So this high-level group was created because, again, we wanted, again, to give this kind of international impulse to the Polytechnic, to support the rector with kind of international vision, how the Europe will going to face with these challenges, how to support Polytechnic to become, again, a center for Italy, of linking Italy to Europe, of making this kind of solution really sustainable. So the strategic and foresight vision, which we do need at most in our university. So among many other things, the high-level group has proposed to set up this kind of, again, international award, which is called Polito Foresight and Innovation International Award, which recognize, again, personality from the scientific, business, policy making, and cultural worlds, who has distinguished for their ability to implement initiatives to push and elevate innovation of the national European system. So, spingere il più possibile innovazione per l'Italia e l'Europa. Of course, we have selected and scrutinized many candidates in 3 different sectors: technological innovation, the kind of policy management and development, and finally, the competitiveness or the management. So managers, politicians who do really push ahead innovation, and scientists. And this year we have therefore come to a kind of conclusion. We have identified the winner, and we have therefore suggested the name to the Rector for his final decision bless. So at this moment I pass the word to you, Stefano, to proclaim the winner of this first edition 2025. Thank you.
First, thanks to the high-level group. The choice matched perfectly the vision of Politecnico di Torino, the international dimension, but also the university as a boost of competitivity. This is one of the crucial aspects, to use university to support the competitivity of the Italian system, of the industrial sector, but also of the public sector. Moreover, to recognize university in the double role, that is to attract talents through an high-level education, but also to promote applied research together with the industrial sector, and we really need it. And according to the results of the work of the high-level group, the winner of the first edition of the Polito Foresight and Innovation Award is Professor Mario Draghi. And we are really proud that he accepted the award, and we are going to match the agendas to have a specific event in end of May or end of April, and it will be for sure another event where we can discuss for sure competitiveness of the university system to grow together with the competitivity of our Italian system and our European system. So thanks a lot. This is the first stage of a path again to follow together.
Ok, possiamo aprire allora il dibattito, quindi invito la dottoressa Salvemini, dottor Garibba. Abbiamo collegato da Bruxelles il dottor Costantinescu Tudor per la Commissione europea assieme al dottor Garibba. Abbiamo... Sì, portate pure le sedie.
Mentre ci prepariamo, utilizzo questo momento per ringraziare davvero la segreteria tecnica del Ministero dell'Ambiente e della Sicurezza Energetica. Grazie, perché è stata, e ringrazio il dottor, che ha lavorato insieme alla mia segreteria tecnica davvero in modo profondo, direi quotidiano, e so che con le tante attività che devono naturalmente svolgere, questo è stato un extra work che ovviamente, però posso dire in modo molto positivo, c'è stato un vero piacere di lavorare insieme e abbiamo creato le basi per una continua attività reciproca di supporto. Quindi grazie davvero, dottoressa.
Grazie a voi. Grazie anche ai miei, che devo dire si sono immolati. Con fatica, perché il quotidiano è veramente tanto, però alla fine il risultato c'è stato. Grazie.
Grazie.
Quindi invito per cortesia il dottor Rossi Nicola, invito il dottor Monti, il dottor Del Fabbro, il dottor Cotana e il dottor Ercoli. Innanzitutto buongiorno, good morning to all of you, and thank you for accepting the invitation and participating to this panel. Now in a few seconds the director will join me and we will start a kind of debate on the conclusions that we achieved yesterday. As we know, yesterday we did have a full discussion on several topics that have been identified as critical topics to be further discussed, and we hope we will have some kind of conclusions with you together. Let me check whether my ex-colleagues and friend Tudor Constantinescu is also connected with us from Brussels. Tudor, are you with us?
Yes, thank you very much, Giovanni. I'm here.
Okay, good morning to you too and welcome, even if you cannot be physically present. Okay, I see you now. Very good, Tudor. Good morning.
Good morning, grazie, thank you.
Okay, so again, as I was just mentioning, yesterday we did have 4 sessions. One session on nuclear energy, both fission and fusion. So we discuss again, and you will see the key conclusions, and therefore we will raise some questions to the panelists. The same story we will do for the other 3 non-nuclear sessions. So we mentioned hydrogen and CCS, so hydrogen carbon capture and sequestration. Then we discuss how to, let's say, push ahead, speed up the transition towards introduction of renewables. And the third one was how to develop a non-carbonized, let's say, transport, which is the key problem, how to insert non-fossil-based fuels, besides electrical vehicles, which we know they have their own peculiarity, their own problems. So these 4 items: non-carbonized transport, CCS and hydrogen, renewables, introduction of renewable, and nuclear were largely debated yesterday. Many of you were present yesterday. You participated to the discussion, so I think we can start immediately. And I guess we can start. Ah sì, ho dimenticato. Vieni, scusami. Avevo dimenticato il dottor Noce del Mase, perché abbiamo bisogno di un esperto anche della parte non nucleare. E mea culpa, mea grandissima colpa. Allora, non so se Stefano... Allora comincio io. Ok. Comincio io. I will start from the nuclear, if you allow me, not because my heart is nuclear, but this is not relevant. It's simply because nuclear is possibly, as the minister said, one of the game changers, especially for Italy. So we do need to understand, do we have really... Do we have really in Italy a future for this type of energy production, yes or no? And do we have kind of possibility to invest? So if you allow me, I will start as usual from the European Commission. So from my friend Massimo Garriba, who is the Director General Deputy of DG Energy at the European Commission. So now we do know that we do have a new European Commission. So new European Commission, new possibly policy. So how would you summarize the chance to insert in the European panorama also the nuclear energy, the nuclear new technology, including the small, medium reactors, and also how do you see the position of the European Commission towards fusion? So from Brussels, how do you see the perspectives of new technology on nuclear fission, but also looking at, in a longer term perspective, also the future. Let's start from the European position, then maybe we can focus on the Italian one. Thank you, Massimo.
Thank you, Giovanni. Good morning to everyone. So, first of all, it's very timely that you gave the award to Professor Draghi, because I think that his report will be permeating the policies of the Commission, and he mentions both fission and fusion very clearly in his report. So I don't want to repeat what was said, but it's clear that geopolitics, competitiveness, prices is what is driving this discussion. And what is clear, I think, very clear from yesterday, if I may say so, is that Italy is joining this discussion clearly. So let me start with what I said yesterday. I made a clear recommendation. I said that this is a restart of a nuclear program, but it has no substantially different characteristics from a new start. And so take it with the necessary steps and with the necessary caution, but with the good enthusiasm which needs to characterize this transition, because you have a strong industrial sector and a very good level of human resources. We from the Commission will publish a nuclear illustrative program to identify and highlight the needs in Europe for what is needed if you want to have nuclear energy participating in this transition. What is needed for strategic independence, what is needed for competitiveness, what is needed for what needs to be taken care of, a responsible nuclear waste management and the commissioning of what there is as well. And innovation, small and modular reactors on the one side, and fusion on the other. The highest safety standards is what has always guided the Commission policy, and this will remain at the heart. And yesterday we had one intervention which I think was very clear in this sense, which brought back the experience from one of our member states, Finland, where we had 6 points that I would like to repeat here. One is when you build a national infrastructure, you have to give priority to safety. Second, you need to ensure that it is accompanied by the appropriate human resources and know-how. So you need to have really the people and the money to be able to do that. Then you have to have a regulatory framework that is conducive to ensuring innovation, and so that you can include the new technologies as they emerge and they mature. And of course you have to operate in a completely open and transparent manner. That is the key element that builds trust in the population and in the people. And for this, collaboration with local authorities is absolutely fundamental if you want to have a win-win situation. For us, you know that we have set up in the Commission European SMR Alliance. The SMRs are clearly one of the key elements that can help in the transition to net zero. With one condition, it has to be fast, and it has to develop prototypes that can come in Europe ASAP. Giovanni, a word for fusion, as you asked, and I will conclude. For us, for fusion, we need to rethink a moment and have a clear strategy. We have been based for a long time on having a fusion technology roadmap. We need to go beyond that. We need to include what is new, the link between the private sector effort and the public sector long-standing tradition. We need to clearly identify the role of the industry and of the supply chain for fusion, and we need to close the technology gaps that exist. And this is a very important point, because there are important technology gaps that need to be closed before we can realize fusion. I mentioned two yesterday. One is materials. and the second one is the production of one of the key fuels, which is tritium. And this is to be kept in mind. For us, ITER is a flagship project and remains the flagship project that has the mission to demonstrate the scientific and technological ability to produce a sustainable fusion reaction. And this is something that has to be in the mind of the people. If we want to be successful in all this, we need to work all together. And we need to work all together, both in the fission and in the fusion world, because I think that the other key element that has come out clearly yesterday is that no member state, no one alone, is actually able to do that. So the role of the partnership, of the international collaboration in all this remains key. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Massimo. Very demanding, what you proposed. But if I can simply close, can you maybe better specify before I pass the floor to the Italian company and Italian colleagues? Can you better specify from Brussels, what would you recommend to Italy? So the people, the country that they need to enter again, the nuclear sector, what would you recommend as kind of first priority? Because something different. If you do talk to France, they have a very clear consolidated program. But for a country like Italy, that they need to, I don't want to say to start again from scratch, but definitely they need to galoppare, they need to run, in order to gain and to recover part of the time lost. What would you recommend?
I think, as I said, Italy, restarts, but has two strong starting points. One is industry, because the Italian industry has never disconnected from the nuclear field. So there are, and I suppose my colleagues here from the industrial side will actually highlight this.
We will come in a moment.
Yeah. And the second one is the fact that academia has also never disconnected. So these are the two starting points. Italy needs to have a legislative infrastructure that allows the development. So, strong safety authority. That's the first thing that Italy needs to put in place. Strong, independent, trusted by the people safety authority. Second, it needs to have a mechanism whereby the central government and the local authority can work together to realize what needs to be done. Find the sites, put the installation and so on. For me, this is what needs to be done, what's started.
Thank you, Massimo. And now, Dottoressa Salvemini, dear Francesca, you heard, of course, the words of the Minister. You heard the solicitation, recommendation from Massimo. So it's clearly now the floor is yours. How do you see now the future of energy in Italy? How do you think? What do we think we do need to do at most and at fast? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. Yesterday was a particularly intense day for nuclear. And one first step after more than 1 year of work. In Rome, the minister presented the project, the delegation project on nuclear. And here in Turin, the world of nuclear, Europe and Italy, at least, was discussing and facing the principal challenges that the relance of the nuclear program engage. From the point of view of technology, financing, and regulatory. Is a challenge, is a big challenge, and the time, but unfortunately we have the time because we have the time to think and to put the system in a condition to make the right choice when this will arrive. Time will arrive. Nuclear is emerging as a possible upgrade in Italy's strategy to achieve its 2050 net zero goals, driven by renewable political and institutional commitment. Minister Pichetto Fratin emphasized Italy's need for diversified, resilient energy mix. To address such challenges, the first one is the competitiveness of the system, but also decarbonization and energy security. We face peculiar times, also worldwide, and then we need a vision. We need a vision. We need a vision and a path to fulfill the goals. The Italian government proposed a delegation act yesterday, which included creating a national program on sustainable nuclear energy. I underline the word sustainable because it was a peculiar choice of our work in this file on nuclear. Sustainable economically, environmentally, and social. And this is three components that will put the nuclear on the top. And this plan aimed for nuclear energy to contribute between 11 to 2,002% of electricity demand by 2050. We don't know. This is an hypothesis for the moment, but it's the first scenario that we put in the updating the national energy and climate plan that we present last year to the European Commission. Small modular reactor and other innovative and advanced technology are central to this vision, providing flexibility, reduced construction times, and enhanced safety features. To ensure success, Italy to develop a comprehensive regulatory framework program covering all aspects from research to waste management. As seen yesterday during the technical session, despite operating nuclear plants domestically for decades, Italy, as Mr. Gariba said, has maintained a strong industrial supply chain and a reputation for excellence in nuclear-related technology. We export technology and components to the nuclear industry worldwide, not in Italy, but worldwide. Leveraging this expertise, the government aims to reposition nuclear energy as an integral part of the Italy's pathway to a sustainable, secure, and competitive energy system. As seen yesterday during the technical session, despite not operating nuclear power plant domestically, we are very strong also on skills. We are provider of nuclear engineer, but not also nuclear engineer worldwide. Then we have two very strong atouts on our long path to rebuild a nuclear program in Italy. I close thanks to Politecnico because it was a very useful challenge and confront, and I thanks also the Dipartimento that is on the Ministry Department of Energy that is on my right, that is represented by Alessandro Noce, that is the Director General, because nuclear is not the only technology that we habilitate to the transition. We have also hydrogen, CCS, and bioeconomy, bioenergy, and so on. And thanks a lot. Thanks to the Commission also, because we work together a lot on this file, and we will working together in the future. And I give the floor to the industry.
Yes, Francesca. Just thank you very much. Also, as the Rettore said already, I also want to express my thankfulness to the Minister for the squisita collaboration that we did have with all of you. So for non-nuclear and nuclear part, I think that most of you are really excellent guys. I really like to work with them. Just a very, very short complimentary question to you. You did not mention fusion. What's the possibility to see also somewhere in Italy, again, a participation fusion, because it's a long-term perspective. We do know, but still, do we go out from this kind of effort? Do we stay inside? Do we invest in this technology? Please.
Fusion is, the minister said yesterday, the El Dorado. And is a real El Dorado, but is a challenge, and we are put a strong engagement in Italy on fusion. We are a strong tradition of fusion on ITRE, but also on the industry that is a superconductor. We have a component. We are first in the world in some components that are very, very important for fusion. We address fusion in the platform with a special group, with academy, with industry, with the research center. Then fusion is on the center, even if the way is a long way.
Okay.
But Gariba said yesterday that we are working hard of an European strategy on fusion, and we are working together on this. There are group working on this side, and perspective, a lot of perspective for Italy in this kind, also in fusion on research.
Okay. Thank you again, Francesca. Now I will shift immediately to Dr. Monti from Edison, because we read the recent agreement you signed on nuclear possible development, but listen to what you heard now from Minister, from Gori, from Commission and the Minister. Can you tell me, how do you see the perspective really of investors, of industry, to see a kind of sustainable energy mixture? How do you see also the role of nuclear, this kind of future energy mixture? Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for the invitation in this panel. I think we have two different objectives, short-term one and long-term one. Short-term one, the issue is how to not simply decarbonize, but reduce prices, which is really a real debate today. And to give a response to that, we need to invest more rapidly in renewables, which are the short-term answer to improving the energy mix and reducing dependency on fossil fuels, and particularly, as we heard this morning, the dependence that Italy has on natural gas. Combined cycle today is fixing the price of the pool in around 70% of the hours in a year, and of course we are not producing enough domestic resources. We are 90% dependent on import of gas, and the price of gas is reflecting the price of electricity, which today, because even of the complex geopolitical situation, has reached higher prices than the rest of Europe. So short-term answer is that one, coupled with energy efficiency. And I think it's a sort of agenda for the rest of Europe and also for the rest of the world. Even if someone is saying drill baby drill, but then even the US industry, as the Chinese industry, is investing much more, has invested much more in the past few years in the renewable industry compared to the fossil industry. Now, is renewables the only answer to have a sustainable and competitive mix in the future? And the answer is not, because we're talking about intermittent energies, and we need to couple those energies with different kind of energies programmable in order to have a reliable energy system. And which are the solutions to have programmable energy, decarbonized energy in the future? And one of the answers is definitely nuclear. So if we project in a longer-term agenda, I say longer because when we talk about rebuilding a nuclear energy in Italy, we need to be realistic. And I think being realistic means to have an objective, to have maybe in 10 years from now, nuclear energy being produced in Italy. We need to rebuild the system. The government is working on that. The ministry is working on that, is creating the right environment. It will take a few years, maybe a couple of years. And then we, as industry, we need to provide solutions because nuclear industry means huge investments. We need to find a way to financially support those investments. We need to find a place. We need to find customers. And what we're doing is trying to build this environment. So working with customers, we have entered into agreements, for instance, with Federacciai last year, which is the largest consumer of electricity in Italy, because programmable and baseload energy need to be sold and need to be guaranteed for those kind of consumers. So we're working definitely in this environment because it will take time, and even it will take time in convincing than a territory or more territories in accepting a nuclear infrastructure, nuclear investment in their sites. It's something which takes time, but if we don't start today, we will never come to the end. And when I say that 10 years from now, I say that we need to start with the available technology today to rebuild the industry. So we're concentrating our effort on the existing technology. But of course, creating this environment, then we want to create the environment also for the technologies under development. Fourth generation and then fusion in the future, why not? But of course, we need to start from what we think that realistically we can build in the short term. So I think we need to be really open to what technology is providing and projecting a mix for Italy, but also for the rest of Europe, renewables plus nuclear.
Dr. Monti, I cannot agree more on what you said. Myself, I am a nuclear engineer and did suffer a lot when years ago we abandoned this kind of field of energy. So now to see that Edison and, let's say, the big company in Italy still want to invest in short-term solutions, but also in the longer-term solutions. So to have a mixture, I fully agree with you. Europe will not go back to just carbonized solution. I think that we will need time and good solution, but I agree with you. The only solution is to have a balanced energy mixture, knowing that the price are very much depending on the solution you find. So nuclear has a very heavy, let's say, investment condition. So you do need kind of long-term political stability to invest in this kind of solution. But I do agree that if we do have in Italy as well this kind of mixture the only possible solution. And this is why I would like now to move to Enel, to the Dr. Rossi, who is head of the innovation. So whoever more than you can tell us how do you see the Enel position, this kind of situation for the energy transition, in particular to invest in the nuclear energy as well.
First of all, let me thank the organization for inviting me. It's a real pleasure to be here for this very interesting discussion. I very much agree with what has been said so far. So we need to see potentially nuclear in the future as a complement to renewables. Putting together a recipe that is made of different ingredients to solve the final target, that is to allow the condition to provide clean, reliable, affordable energy, guaranteeing the security of the system and guaranteeing also the environmental target. Okay, so we are not speaking of things that compete each other, but we are speaking of things that work together in order to reach the same target, that is that I have mentioned. How do I see? Enel is a company that has a strong experience in nuclear, comes from our history. We were part of the first nuclear era, also in Italy, when Italy was one of the nuclear leaders in the world. And in the phase when the country decided to exit from nuclear, we continued to work on nuclear abroad. So sometimes it's not known, but we are operating nuclear plants in Spain. It was mentioned before, Spain, where we have more than 6 gigawatt of installed capacity nuclear power there, and we have built one of the last nuclear plants in Europe, in Slovakia. And so we have people, we have competence, we have knowledge into the company that can be put at system level in order to study and understand and develop possibly new nuclear technologies in the future. Of course, I very much agreed also on the technological approach. If we want to face the target in 10, 15 years from now, we need to look to technologies that are close to be commercially available and ready. It doesn't mean necessarily to look to the technologies of the past, because we know that at least in the Western countries, nuclear projects suffered of problems, cost problems, time problems, but the new technologies, modular technologies, could support the overall system to overcome the problems that we face. Okay, there are a number of projects currently under development in the world. More than 80 projects are under development. We need to select the best options to reach these targets, also with a progressive approach looking to the following step, so fourth generation and fusion when they will be available. What I want to say is that in this spirit, we are part of what is under discussion at country level and at European level. So we participate to the platform for sustainable nuclear in Italy. I think it was done a very good job. We are part of the Advanced Modular Reactor SMR Alliance at the European level, where we are leading the nuclear safety working group. That is very important. We are also setting up a new company that will have the target to study the possibility and the feasibility of integration of new nuclear technologies in Italy, identifying these requirements, specific requirements that we will have, and also supporting the overall ecosystem to set up in order to be able to the following step. What I want to say is that we are speaking about technology. I think the new nuclear technologies will require not only new technologies, we require also new models, because when we speak about small modular reactors, sometimes we do not remember that we are not only speaking of a new technology, but also of a new business model that looks at nuclear more as a product than as a number of single, very specific and different projects. And this is a big change that requires also a change in the regulation, a change in the permitting process, in order to enable what is the economy of series. You can have economy of series if you can standardize at least partly your product, and you can benefit of a common regulatory system that allows the development of many objects that are more or less similar, and so able to benefit of economy of series. So I think this is also a challenge that we need to face with at the national level, but more than that also at the European level, because the economy of series require volumes. And to achieve volumes, you require a bigger environment to look at. So Europe can be an opportunity for this. I want to mention another point that is for us very important. I mentioned skills. We start from skills that we still have internally. I think this is also an opportunity for universities. The director spoke about the importance of innovation for the whole R&D Italian ecosystem to contribute to Italian projects, but also to contribute at global level, because there are opportunities around us. There is a development that is happening worldwide. Sometimes we speak about technology independency, but we have not to ignore that in other parts of the world, there are big investments in development of these technologies we are mentioning. I refer to China, I refer to Asia. So to be part of this technology development process for our R&D, industrial, and for our ecosystem in general, I think is something very, very important to be part and to be also from a technology point of view independent in the future.
Thank you very much. If I just simply ask you more, one big challenge, the challenge you see at most in Italy to put again the nuclear energy in the contest for energy.
I think we need to set the overall system on the same wavelength, and we need to identify mechanisms that de-risk the process, because nuclear projects are long-lasting projects. We are speaking of 10, 15 years, so we need stability. Without stability, the risk is that we start and we stop, we start and we stop.
That's what I said before. Yeah.
So that's time-wise and also cost-wise, because we need to be aware that at least the first projects will need to be supported and sustained also financially.
I agree, fully agree. And just to conclude the first round of questions on nuclear, I would like to finish with Dr. Cotana.
Yes.
So, Caro Franco, if you can tell us from your point of view, of course, you manage the electricity system. So I think that you can tell us, how do you see the perspectives of inserting this technology, nuclear technology, in our electrical system, which is, as you know, I don't know to which extent already prepared. So how do you see the real challenge for you? How do you see the possibility to gain a sustainable solution, to achieve a sustainable solution? Because
yes,
it's not easy.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to emphasize what RSE still preparing now for energy transition is involved in many topics, in many activities. First of all, we have coordinating with the environmental minister the platform for the new perspective in introducing the nuclear in our country, which is the very important change game in our country. And as a result of this very huge work, we found that also in the university play a big role in the next future to have a skill and improve the in 3 main pillar the effort. First of all, is developing the capacity of educators. Second, for student and for training together with the company as Enel and other to improve the skill in nuclear management and so on. And third, the infrastructure. We need a research infrastructure to improve the path of this new, to build the new skill for our specialized and the nuclear engineer, but not all. I want to take this opportunity to announce that we are involved in a big effort to lead the mission innovation, which is the program very important to bring in innovation many of company and many of industry, bring together with the university to improve from TRL 4 to TRL 7 on 8 the technology that is very important to realize the innovation in our industry system. We have also this afternoon some meeting to explain the call, and we are preparing and support. We give scientific support to environmental minister in at least 7 main topics. The first one is non-programmable renewable energy sources. The second one in energy storage and flexibility. The third is data and grid digitalization. The 4 is hydrogen technology. The 5 is electrolyzer and hydrogen network. The 6 is biohydrogen and biofuel, which is led this afternoon in MV Park site. And the last one is a critical raw material. The call is already online. And I hope that many entrepreneurs and university together apply to this call because it's a very good opportunity. The total amount of the program is more than 300 million, which involve investment for more than 600 million euro, and is, I think, a good opportunity for all of you, okay, which want to realize the.
Thank you. So, thanks a lot, Franco. Capacity building, education, absolutely. Thank you for having mentioned it, because it's fundamental for Italy, especially after so many years. That.
But if you give me 1 second, I want to stress also just 1 second, because RSC in the past don't have skill in nuclear. So in my point of view, in the last year, we stress this part of very important aspect, both in fusion and in fission, but especially in fusion, we want to take the opportunity of new approach, not only magnetic confination, but also inertial confinement of the plasma. So this new approach is very promising, and we want to take this opportunity to involve many university center, but also CNR, ENEA, and so on. And we want to realize a large umbrella organization on the PPA, insomma, to have a prototype, maybe I hope in Italy too, with Enel, I hope, in the next
Thank you, Franco.
Years. Thank you.
And again, I would like now to thank again you, but I think we need now to move to the non-nuclear session. So I would like now to pass the floor to Director Stefano Corgnati, because we do need to talk about the other big hot issues on hydrogen and CCS, which are also connected again to nuclear, because you do need clean hydrogen. How do you produce clean hydrogen is an open issue. We know it's not easy, but it's necessary if you want to decarbonize, but give whoever the chance to produce hydrogen or to capture the CO2. So Stefano, please, the floor is yours, and thank you again for your answer to the first round of questions on nuclear. Thank you.
Giovanni, stay with me. I think that we can switch. So now we switch to the second table of yesterday. This is hydrogen and CCS. So let's start with the Commission point of view. Tudor is connected. So I think that also according to what yesterday we discussed, we would like also to understand that given the potential availability of geological storage in the Mediterranean and also the potential cross-border flows that can be generated, of course, how can cost and also risk can be managed and divided among states?
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, and first of all, again, thank you for the possibility to participate online to this very interesting event. My congratulations for that, and very good opportunity to participate yesterday also in the discussions, although online. Unfortunately, I couldn't be in person. Regarding your question, it all comes to, of course, the necessity to diversify the energy system and the energy mix. It's clear that in this context, at the same time with the boundaries of decarbonization, we'll need to move into an energy system with a lot of more decarbonized sources, including nuclear, but mainly we think at European level renewables, which by nature they are variable. And for this reason, and for this, we have the targets already for 2030, very ambitious, I have to say. We will need more and more storage. We'll need short-term, but also medium, longer-term storage. And in this context, in particular, the storage of hydrogen will be important. The estimate is that will increase by 15 times the necessity for storage between now and 2050. And the largest part of electricity storage of this would be chemical storage, that is hydrogen or hydrogen derivatives. And for this, of course, we'll have to look at the potential we have across Europe. And mainly, I have to say, the location of storage is where it will be market-driven. And there are opportunities, in particular for hydrogen, in the salt caverns. We had under the current PCI PMI list, which entered into force just last November, 7 such storage projects. And we'll continue to look for the possibilities on this, also from a research perspective, which we do with the fuel cells and hydrogen joint undertaking, which was also presented by Milena in the meeting yesterday. We'll at the same time look at the other type of caverns which can be used also for CO2 storage, but also for hydrogen, bearing in mind, of course, the limitations, and we'll need a bit more analysis at the regions to see where are the suitable geologies. The liner of caverns may be considered suitable, but subject to more analysis, research, and also adaptations which may be necessary in this respect. So, but in any case, at European level, storage will become more and more important, and it will be supported through the project of common interest under the under CEF, and we'll definitely look at the possibilities we have across Europe for that. Yeah, thank you.
Tudor, my reflection, and maybe a second question to you. CCS and hydrogen, the very clear point is that there is not sufficient demand. We do need to create a market. And to create a market also for the investors is not so easy because, of course, industry can invest, can produce hydrogen, can apply CCS as long as it does not prevent them to be competitive on the world scenario. So from industrial point of view, I can see the point. I'm very eager, I'm very ready to invest in hydrogen, in CCS, but is it possible to maintain my competitiveness, not penalizing myself? I understand the Commission position is to create a kind of large infrastructure for hydrogen CCS. This is very clear. But we do need to tackle this point. How can we put our industry, the European industry, at the same level of competitiveness with the others which are not strictly, let's say, obliged to apply such a costly technology. This is the point, how to maintain this kind of very necessary decarbonization process, but not losing the competitiveness. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, I think Europe, but not only Europe, we have seen over the last decade more and more countries following, if you want us, and following the first commitment of the first von der Leyen Commission to go towards carbon neutrality. And we have seen China, we have seen Japan, we have seen the US. Now, of course, there are maybe some changes, but I have to say, even in the previous administration, we have seen a lot of investments in clean energy technologies, including hydrogen, including storage of hydrogen, including CCS. So we think from a also pragmatic and economic point of view, this will have to continue. And it will have to continue because, of course, first of all, it's a climate dimension, but it's also that all these technologies have evolved over the years, also thanks to research and innovation to a large extent, significantly. They lower significantly their cost and are to a point where can become competitive solutions. The energy infrastructure is also aging in Europe, and not only. So we need in any case to start putting in place the new installations, the new solutions, and they have to be there for the next decades to come. So it's an interest in developing and in modernizing the economy and in having maybe a higher capex in the beginning, but a lower cost of the energy system overall in the years and the decades to come. And in this respect, for example, it was mentioned for nuclear, but it's very much valid also for hydrogen, for renewables, for energy efficiencies, which is still the first thing we try to do also at European level. The skill, the labor force which is developed, the capabilities, so the universities like you have, and also the capabilities to shape the labor force into this is very important. In addition, to create really the market, of course, there are the targets which we have also at European level. There is now a question very much also of implementation, of working together with member states, which these targets at the end of the day at European level have been defined and agreed together with the member states. And now to see the mechanism of transposition of all this legislative framework, that it is for renewables, that is for the hydrogen and gas decarbonization package, to enable things to happen faster, to accelerate the permitting in many of these areas, and to create the incentives. And there are already mechanisms like the hydrogen bank, for example, for the off-takers, which indeed are essential. But we need to move the things together. The off-takers, the infrastructure which is required, and at the same time the supply which can be very much produced also in Europe, in taking into account the potential for renewable energy, notably also in the south, in countries like Italy. It's still, I think, a huge potential to be tapped, and maybe through acceleration for permitting, this potential can be better exploited. But also from countries in northern Africa, and making use of the existing infrastructure, repurposing the existing infrastructure. And again, congratulations for the political declaration now and support for the South Hydrogen Corridor, which is a very good example into this direction and bringing together not only as off-takers, but also producers, also outside Europe, thinking of possibilities for the future and making and developing the infrastructure across Italy and the other European countries.
Thanks a lot. Now we switch to Alessandro Noce. And thanks a lot also for the contribution of the Energy Department of MASE. It was fundamental, so thanks a lot. Alessandro, in this scenario, what is or how can the industrial sector be supported during this delicate phase of transition related to these two big issues, that is hydrogen and CCS?
Thank you very much. Good morning to everybody, and thanks for the invitation to this very important conference. Yes, I will start from what we said, what we wrote in the National Energy and Climate Plan last year in June, when the Italian government set up a strategy for the hard-to-abate industries, setting a bunch of alternatives for decarbonizing, and I would mention energy efficiency, hydrogen, CCS, biogas. And the plan set all these alternatives in a balanced manner according to a neutral technology criteria, according to the fact that not all, any vector is specific for a particular kind of industry. So for some industries, it's much better to decarbonize via hydrogen, other by CCS, and so on. It's very true what I heard before in the second question, which have been posed to the representative of the European Commission. The problem is that for CCS and hydrogen, for instance, we have to build a market. We have to set up the rules. As ministry, we are approving now a piece of legislation for setting up the rules on the CCS value chain. In few months, we will have this new law, and then we will regulate all the different sectors of the CCS supply chain. So capture, transportation, and storage. As far as capture is concerned, it's true that it's very costly. So emitters should be in some way incentivized to proceed with the capture investments. And in this respect, there is a wide range of tools that can be used in order to incentivize this kind of investment. I think, for instance, a contract for difference, which are related to the ATS counterfactual value. We should, in some way, push emitters to find more convenient the investment in CCS than, how can I say, keep up emitting. Hydrogen is another vector which is at the moment very costly as compared to renewable hydrogen compared to the green one. Hydrogen and CCS are very much related when it comes when we speak of blue hydrogen. So, hydrogen which is obtained by natural gas by then sequestrating the CCS produced. I think that Mr. Ercoli from SNAM will describe later the project we are actually working very hardly on, which is the South Corridor for hydrogen, which will, in 5-7 years, maybe provide an infrastructure, Italian infrastructure from Sicily to Tarvisio, which can transport renewable hydrogen produced in North Africa and which can be used for hard-to-abate industry. Also here is a matter of letting the firm being induced to switch from emitting vector to clean decarbonized vector. And as ministry, we do have the duty to find out a regulation framework which can help this kind of result. So in our way, the next 2 or 3 years, in my opinion, will be very decisive for this kind of two vectors, CCS and hydrogen. A lot of rules will be written, and what is the real task? Creating a demand for this clean vector is the main issue we have to deal with and hopefully to resolve. Thanks.
Grazie Alessandro. Now I shift to Dr. Ercoli because I'm very eager to understand as a citizen, do we really have good chance to have competitive hydrogen, green hydrogen, consider also, of course, the recent development in transport for North Africa. Can we really see a kind of positive future for hydrogen in Italy? First question. I have another one.
Okay, easy one.
Yeah.
So, first of all, thank you for inviting me and SNAM. I think probably I need to do a step back and then I'll answer your question, because it's very important to remember that what we're trying to do here with technology and with a lot of colleagues is to do something that was never done. So really to do a transition in energy contrary to the law of energy, right? I'm an engineer, so to the law of physics, right? Because what we're trying to solve here is a CO2 problem, right? So we are starting a little bit in a disadvantageous position. So when I heard about cost, it depends. It depends what we are measuring. Are we measuring the price of energy, or are we measuring the price of decarbonized energy, or are we measuring removing the ton of CO2? Because it depends on what you're measuring, your result will be very, very different. So we need to understand what we're measuring here. On the other times, I think we need to be not afraid, in the sense that these are long-term challenges, and if we didn't start in SNAM looking at transporting hydrogen in our pipelines 4 or 5 years ago, we wouldn't have been in the position now to have done what we have done in the last 2-3 years, which was moving from PowerPoints to feasibility studies. So really studying, how to transport hydrogen in our pipelines, which also means compressor station, which brings know-how and technology into our system, in a system in which this is another field which we are leading, because SNAM is the largest European player in the gas transport infrastructure. So the reason why I'm starting a little bit behind is that because this is very important, and we're talking about innovation, and we're talking about competitiveness. So coming to competitiveness, the reason why, and this is the same reason also for CCS, we look at these two projects, it's because they start from a very strong industrial viewpoint. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense. So the viewpoint is, it's all good. Today, out of 100 energy we consume, 20% is electricity. Everybody more or less agree that we can go to 50%. We still have 50% of the others. So the order of magnitude is also very important. Let's remember that our electricity system today is 300 terawatt. Our gas system is 600 plus terawatt hours. And we have 200 terawatt hours of hydrogen. And I'm a big fan of using the same unit of measures, because otherwise we all make confusion about the order of magnitude of things. we have probably under 200 terawatt hours of energy stored in oil. So just to remember that the task we have is gigantic. So why I'm optimistic about the South H2 corridor? Because it starts from a very logical perspective, which is what are the best renewable resources? Where are the best renewable resources in the world? Well, if we look at Italy, the best renewable resources in the world, the closest one are between Tunisia and Algeria. It's not myself saying, there have been done many, many studies. You can come to this very easy conclusion, right? Second point is that if I need to decarbonize hard-to-abate sectors, how can I do that? Well, I can do hydrogen and CCS, and as Dr. Nojo was saying before, you know, there are differences between the two technologies, and they apply better to some segment and to others. And the third one, how do I move hydrogen if I need to consume hydrogen as pure hydrogen? Different ways, but the cheapest way is pipeline. And even more cheap if you are able to reuse existing infrastructure. So if I sum these three elements, I come to the industrial conclusion. So do we have this in our pocket now? No, absolutely not. But this is, we're talking about transforming, let's say, in the scenario of the PIEC, probably, 100, 150 terawatt hours of energy. We're not doing that to move, 10 terawatt hours, right? And we're doing that not only for us, but in a European context, as Turo was saying, right? So I've been with Tudor several times along, and this is creating a common infrastructure since the beginning. Again, why? Because if we are 3 or 4 paying for that, it's gonna be again cheaper, right? So the last element we are also we are trying to give our help also to industrials, because it is not true either that we need to change everything tomorrow, as was also represented in the Southern Corridor a few days ago. There is blending possibilities at the industrial site. Again, if I can use existing furnaces and so on, I can do better. Just to give you an example, we are working with Tenaris to test compressors. So we put an electrolyzer in Dalmine, and this burner, it's in an existing infrastructure, is burning hydrogen instead of natural gas. So it's a lot of things. We're trying to do our best. That's why I'm optimistic.
Thank you very much. I think that we could stay for hours to discuss, because there are so many unknowns. Now, somebody thinks that if you do produce in Africa hydrogen via the photovoltaics or whatever, whether it's easier to transport gas or electricity. So you may say, okay, I do transport gas, but I might... That's
an easy answer. Huh? That's not. That's also an easy answer.
And the second, if I do understand correctly, you would like to see in Italy also industrial district whereby you may privilege hydrogen because maybe they are far away from geological disposal, CCS, but maybe the CCS solution could be acceptable for those industries that are not far away from those geological disposal. What do you think?
I mean, it's not only a matter of being close to the reservoir. It's also a matter of process. And it is pretty clear that there are certain sectors which are more prone to CCS, like cement. You can see that big groups like Heidelberg, which they're also present in Italy and so on. On cement, this is process emissions, so they're not related to fuels. So carbon capture is the solution for that. If you go maybe on the other spectrum, you're going into industry where concentration of CO2 is very, very limited, and probably you better change the fuel. So you also have feedstock where we're using gray hydrogen, and there you need green hydrogen. when we talk about fuels like SAF and so on, let's remember that these are, and this is because in my previous slides I was doing biofuels. So biofuels is hydrogen plus something else, basically, right? So we need to understand the complexity of this system and trying to leverage on that. And also we need to, and I think this is very important, to be open to technologies. Not say we want to do this in this way, because it's too early to say, probably not. So the fact that there is a lot of ways in which we can produce hydrogen, and we should not discard any of those right now because it's too early. So we need to and each country needs to leverage on its own strength, right? So
thank you, Dr. Ercoli. I'm sure that also Tudor from Brussels confirms that decarbonization of industry is one, if not the priority now for European Union, and therefore it's important to develop this kind of innovation. And also in Politecnico, for both CCS and hydrogen, we have developed a lot of expertise. And again, we would like to continue maybe discussion with you. But now let me just close the first round of discussion on CCS and hydrogen by talking about IREN. So we do want to have, I would like to understand better hydrogen valley, which is a concept which I think could be solve many of the problems related to matching demand and supply. So in that respect, I think the IREN can give us a very clear example. How do you see the role of these municipalities, companies to implement in reality, in a real, let's say, known cultural and environmental conditions? How do you think the role of IREN in this respect? Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I first of all, let me jump a level up on geopolitical issue. I think we need to start talking about national interest and security. Okay, before the Russian-Ukrainian war, we were talking about environment, net zero to 2050. Then we are discussing about competitiveness of energy and our industry. I recall the audience that we are the second largest industrial superpower in Europe. But mostly, and more important, is security. So I think before talking about, importing hydrogen from Africa, enhancing the pipelines from Azerbaijan, Algeria, and I recall that 75% of all our energy that we consume are from abroad, and only 25% is produced in-house, 20% renewables, 5% gas and oil that we extract in the south of Italy. Having said so, municipalities can be one of the portion of the solution for enhancing the security, because I strongly believe that in the future we are going to have a big threat on security because of the, let's say, too much import we are depending on. I recall that once a gas pipeline in the north, in the Baltic, exploded. And I recall that more than 90% of our gas is coming from pipelines and LNG imports. So municipalities can delocalize the production of energy. Why is important that delocalization of energy? Not only because we produce it in-house, renewables, waste to energy. Actually, today we haven't discussed about waste to energy. Maybe I can jump in afterwards. The delocalization of energy allows an electrical and energy system to be less sensitive to cyber attack. Okay, so we need to have a more holistic vision of energy in the future, because we are going to live in a geopolitical, multi-tensional environment in which the threat can come from a company, can come from a state, can come from tension among countries. So municipalities can produce in loco, in the place, the energy by using the hydrogen, by using the waste to energy, by using renewables. And I think, as we heard from the other speakers, and I learned a lot today, thank you, we need to have a multi-phase solution. So there isn't a silver bullet solution for this. So long term, of course, innovation will help us. They were talking about nuclear. I think energy saving is another very important aspect. Hydrogen. Today, all these solutions are too expensive or are not ready. So we need to think in a short term. And today, the solution in the short term is increasing a lot the renewables that we produce in-house, because this will reduce the security issue and also lower the cost. But we need to be careful about an aspect which in the public debate is not debated enough. When we install renewables, we also need to have storage. Not only, we also need to enhance our grid, our energy need. So in the future, we are going to require very important investments in the energy grid that today are not taken into account in the cost of energy. Why I'm saying that? Because when we design the future of energy scenario in Italy, we need to take account three factors: security, competitiveness, and environment. Now, competitiveness means resources at low price, but in a long term. So we need to be very careful in investment, so energy grid, very, very, very attentive to whatever is opportunity. And I launched two initiatives on that, aside hydrogen, which is a medium long-term solution, okay? Waste to energy. We have a lot of waste in Italy, but we have few waste to energy systems. IREN is one of the leading companies in Italy on waste to energy. I think we should pose more attention on that. And carbon sequestration can be a portion of the solution, the waste to energy. So I'm looking forward to the effort that ENI and SDAM are doing. They are doing a tremendous job and we need to support them. Innovation is going to be key. But waste to energy is going to be a portion of the solution. Energy producing in the place is going to be at a low price. And if we solve the CO2 issue for the future, I think waste to energy is going to be one of the silver bullet. The other is, and I hear not enough talking about that, is biogas. Not only we are the second superpower, industry superpower in Europe, but we have the second superpower country as far as agro-food production is concerned. And we have a between 10 and 15 BCM, billions of cubic meters of gas that we can produce by biogas. So even this activity should be enhanced. To cut the story short, the future will require several solutions. We don't have one solution. I think it's very important for the future, the innovation. Today we need to stick with the reality and we need to produce at a low price with the highest security is concerned. And we are too depending on the abroad. So we need to enhance renewables produced in Italy, enhance the grid to be capable to lower the cost and be also very, very resilient to cyber attack. Because if you look at the cyber attack, these are increasing exponentially. And today we underestimate the risk of a cyber attack. So I think the future is ours and we need to pave the way on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And just one very quick question, a quick answer. This innovation that you mentioned, cost. Do you see chance for you to invest even in a longer term when maybe the PNRR resources will be exhausted?
The answer is very straight, sir. The cost of security will be paid by Europe, as Mr. Draghi has said. You need to put in the equation the same consideration that Draghi made in this report. We need a stronger military defense, yes or no? Draghi says yes. And this should be paid with the EU bonds. This is what he proposes, okay? I say that the energy security needs to be paid by Europe. So, for example, you are talking a lot and we are talking about future. Let's talk about tomorrow, okay? We need to increase or not increase LNG import. Do we need another additional LNG terminal in Italy? A large one, okay? Who is going to pay for it? Not only Italy should be paid, Europe, if these enhance the security of Europe. So what I'm saying with that is that when we talk about energy, we need to marry security, competitiveness, and environment. As far as security and environment, it is not an issue only of Italy, but is an issue of Europe. And some of this cost, as far as innovation is concerned, as far as security, should be paid by a joint effort because it's a common house need and interest.
Thank you. I simply want to add just one point. It's not only security competitiveness, but also social acceptability, which means affordability. So this is the fourth dimension, which has been now raised by the Minister. So how to continue the sustainability dimension without forgetting that if it will not be affordable and accepted by the citizen, you can forget it. So that's another dimension which makes even more complex.
You're right.
Also, that's why I ask you, being local, how do you see the future? How do you see really the innovation to be proposed to the citizen? That's a key question.
Well, let me give you just a very quick answer. Comune di Torino is the largest recipient of the largest energy efficiency project, which is Efficiento. We enhanced the efficiency of 800 buildings, and we reduced by 20 million euro the cost of the commune. So this is an example. And the other example is, of course, district heating, that reduces the cost of the family of energy. But I would like to pose the same question as far as nuclear is concerned when we talk about social acceptability, which will be a very part of the debate.
This is key. But again, now we need to shift to the third, otherwise we don't have time for the last two very interesting sessions. I would like to ask you to be very short and very concise in your answers. Otherwise, we go absolutely outside our terms of reference. So I pass the floor again to Stefano just for continuing the discussion, please.
Well, now we switch to thanks a lot. I learned a lot, me too. Today is fantastic, also yesterday. Alternative fuels, and I asked to the Commission vision, that is, which are the possible and alternative vision that the Commission is working on related to alternative and biofuels in the transport sector.
Tudor, are you still with us? I know that is not an easy answer because to mention alternative fuels is not easy. Okay, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Giovanni. Of course, there is no simple answer, but there is no simple energy transition either. We know that, and it was mentioned before, and mentioned as well that for if we look towards 2050, the share of electricity in the final energy consumption will increase towards 50%. I think now it's almost 30%. But still half of our final energy consumption will be in the form of molecules and not electrons. Therefore, it's so important that we decarbonize those molecules. And definitely, and also this was also part of the repower, when we have tried to, with a view to decarbonization, but also with a view to reduce this huge dependency on fossil fuels, and notably the dependency from Russia following the war, we put forward a number of measures, also on short term, on medium and longer term, starting with energy savings, starting with energy efficiency, reduction of gas consumption, but also looking at hydrogen, but also at biogas and biomethane, and doubling the production and the capacities in Europe by 2030, and also looking at the role of hydrogen in the various sectors, replacing and decarbonizing existing industries, notably steel and refineries and fertilizers, but looking also at new uses. And for this reason, the point you mentioned on alternative, sustainable alternative fuels is very important. We have the alternative fuels infrastructure regulation. And for example, here we have both provisions for electricity, but also for hydrogen, where we aim by 2030 to have every 200 kilometers along the 10T core network to have refueling stations. We have provisions notably for the maritime sector and Fuel EU Maritime, with starting a bit modest, but aiming towards 80% decarbonization by 2050. We also have the inclusion now for Refuel EU Aviation, with concrete targets also for sustainable aviation fuels, and in addition, covering it under the ETS. There is here also a dimension which I think it's important that in all these parts of the transport system which needs to be decarbonized, we'll need to ensure competitiveness. We need to ensure and to develop the capabilities and the manufacturing in Europe. And because it was several times mentioned, also the report of Mr. Draghi, it's very much about how to integrate in all this process, including on developing this new alternative fuels infrastructure, including the new fuels, how to develop these capacities in Europe, and how to make use of the existing ones in the best way to create additional jobs, to create additional opportunities also at local level, which is very important to tap more the potential of the resources, notably renewables we have, but also the potential resources we have in terms of jobs, in terms of capacities we have in these areas.
Okay, so thank you, Tudor. Can I continue the discussion with Giovanni Perella from MASE, because I want to have maybe a clearer answer. We know that the very open issue among European Commission and Italy is the role that biofuels can play on road transport. If you like, alternative fuels, not only biofuel, but alternative fuel. So what is your vision? What the Italian government wants to achieve in the next future? Thank you.
Yes, thanks for the question, for the opportunity to share our view. That is very, very simple. We think that all the technology available could contribute to the decarbonization of the transport sector. There is not only one answer. There are the electric car could be very important in this decarbonization, but alone is not possible to make all the sector that the transport have. And so it's very important to have the contribution of biomethane for the use of LNG for the maritime, for example, or for the big float that we have in Italy of the car that are fueled with the methane that could be now totally use biomethane, as we have reached our first target of 1.1 billion of cubic meter of biomethane in the grid of the methane, and then we have the possibility to use biofuels very, very high, with a very, very high level of reduction of GHG. For example, the HBO that reach minus 90% of the reduction, and so could be very simple used in the actual fleet of cars or our trucks. So our politics of promotion of biofuels in the transport sector is real. It's continuing and is increasing. We are just in these months elaborate the new strategy for the period 2026-2030, and we will increase all the type of obligation of use of biofuels, the normal, the advanced biofuels, and the pure use of biofuels. We have invented in Italy this new category of biofuels that is 100% of biofuels used in the transport sector. That is very much appreciated in the EU, and I speak with other countries that will copy this proposal and want to implement the 100% of use of biofuel in transport. And so we are leader in this. We will increase the obligation, and together with our industry, national industry that is very, very advanced, like ENI for the production of HBO in the world, but other global company that are involved in this production. So it's good opportunity. It's to share to put on the table all the different technology that could help us to reach as much possible and in the short time these important goals. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, because now we can keep the track and we can ask the position of SNAM related to biomethane for transport. What is the let's say the industrial strategy?
No, I think SNAM, just to do a step back, when we started many years ago to create a new platform for the transition. So the three platform was actually energy efficiency, in which we created a national player, which is Renovit, and biomethane, and the one that I lead, which is hydrogen and carbon capture and sequestration. So biomethane for sure was immediately recognized as a solution, and we are playing two roles in the biomethane space. One is that, again, we created a national player, which is bioenergies, and we are working to enhance the platform and to make it more robust and bigger. And the other one is to provide services for connection. So we have been seeing a very big increase in the request for connection. So we have a coordinating role in Italy to plan new connection for biomethane plant connection. So this is very important. We don't stop there. I think also in terms of innovation, we won a project at European level, which is called H2 Shift, where we plan to install this platform in one of our biomethane plant in Legnano, to use all the ingredients that you have in biomethane to test reactors for hydrogen, so biohydrogen and others. So again, you see that it's quite complex, it's quite articulated. So one solution doesn't necessarily means that you need not to do another one, but sometimes you can build one on top of the others. And coming back to the point that Chairman Oviran was making about CO2 from waste to energy, again, where we have a little internal startup which is called CO2 Vault, which is looking at biogenic CO2, because biogenic CO2 you can then go on the certificate markets. It's a big nascent voluntary market for carbon, which again is important, because as we know, we will need to probably capture even more, because the marginal CO2 it probably doesn't make any sense to capture. It's better to offset. And I think that the waste to energy plant, it's a perfect example of that, because it's a large plant, but it's CO2 biogenic. So from a cost perspective, it makes much more sense to capture that CO2 that maybe the marginal CO2 on another small plant, right? So also this legislation, and I think it's pretty clear, was also in the discussion we had with MASE, was recognized, this element, which if you look at numbers and cost, you realize quite quickly. So again, we need to do quite a lot of things. We need to be very, with the eyes very wide open, and continue to work on innovation, which is not only technology, it's also innovation in terms of legislation and so on.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Complex, challenging, and full of innovation. So and fun. I fully agree with you. I'm enthusiastic about that. Now I go back to my professor, Franco Fontana. But because in transportation, always we speak about also the rule of electrical transportation. So what is your vision?
My vision is a fantastic vision. In the last 20 years, we developing PipeNet, which is the new system transport for goods. And now we are announcing the agreement between RSC and RFI for developing this new infrastructure. And I think could be a very big breakthrough technology in transport. You imagine the just-in-time delivery for goods and what happened for the economy. We push the economy very strong and we fighting against China and the other country. This is a good opportunity for Europe, you know. But this is my dream. I hope will be realized in the next 10 years. But in the field of, I don't know what you mean about biohydrogen, because what does come from? We have a project with INEA for realize steam gasification from wood. You know, we have a good opportunity and a lot of amount of wood come from our forest, not for deforesting, but for cultivating and managing in the good way, in a sustainable way, our forest. Maybe you know, you have seen what happened with the fire now in LA, but also in Italy and Europe. A lot of amount of the CO2 are re-emitting in the atmosphere. This CO2 are absorbed by tree in the last 30 years, but in a few days are released to the atmosphere. So we have to managing in the sustainable way our forest. So what we propose is to realize upstream and downstream chain in order to produce biohydrogen, not by electricity, but directly from chemical of wood to chemical of hydrogen. And this way is Italian technology. In here, there is a prototype 1 megawatts ready to implement and to produce hydrogen at a very low price, less than 4 or 3 euro of kilo. So we believe that in the next 3 years we are involved and we realize this other dream for to give the hydrogen a very low price. For transport electricity, we need infrastructure, you know. The infrastructure is very difficult to realize and we need a lot of investment, but RSC is involved with the Terna in these challenges. So we believe that the complexity is very high, and in the future we have to effort and to fighting against many other problem to solve and to design a new sustainable future. So thank you.
Thank you. Let's move quickly to the very last item, which I think we do need to possibly complete in a 10 minutes time. So, my dear Tudor, is the very last question I raised to you. You're still with us. So, we know that recently the Commission has adopted a series of measures, new documents, so recommendations to improve the permitting procedures for renewables that we know is a very clear problem, felt as one of the big barriers for the penetration of renewables. So let's say how to streamline the permitting procedure. And my question to you is, what about the degree of adoption of these measures, the different member states?
Yeah, as you're absolutely right. This is one of the very important points, and it's important for the overall competitiveness of the energy system, for the accelerating the transition, and for making the energy more affordable. To make the energy affordable, we try to take a number of measures which are in short term, a number of measures which are in medium and longer term, and this action plan on affordability should be part of the effort towards the clean industrial deal now. So during the crisis, we have taken already a number of measures to accelerate permitting, and notably for renewables. They are now embedded also into the legislation. And just as an illustration, for example, while the average permitting for onshore, it was about 7 years or even longer for offshore, we have seen a swift impact for permitting, for example, in Germany and in Spain. So 70% more permits in 2023 compared to 2022. The same type of deployment is necessary in order to allow the infrastructure to be developed. And we have these requirements, for example, for hydrogen, and even 2 years permitting in the gas and in the hydrogen and gas decarbonization package. And this is through legislation which needs to be transposed by member states. But now we plan to work with the member states to accelerate all this on permitting. Even during the next couple of weeks, we'll finalize and publish also a study on recommendations and guidance on how to speed up permitting granting for renewables and for the related energy infrastructure projects as well.
Thank you, Tudor.
So, yeah.
Yeah, clear. Thank you.
Alessandro, I go back to you. What are the most significant obstacles to get the objective of 2030, that is 40% of renewable energy sources, in your opinion?
Yes, thanks. By 2030, to hit the target, the European target we have, we should install something between 70 and 80 gigawatt of new renewables. Last year, in 2024, Terna, the TSO, issued this data saying that we have installed in Italy 7.5 gigawatt in a year. This means that in order to hit the target in the next 5 years, we have to, I wouldn't say double, but more or less increase a lot the number of new renewables plants to be installed each year. This is a very important task. As the minister said this morning, there is for sure, especially in some region, an attitude to limit a lot the room for approval of new investment, because they think that there are a lot of restraints as far as the landscape, the nature, the agriculture, the nature of the site are concerned. We should balance this in some way, write petition from regions to with the necessity to build. Let me just say, and then I'll finish, that in order to streamline, as was said before, the permitting procedure, we have just approved a new testo unico, which is a new kind of law which in some way simplify the procedure. And then, in order to implement the RED III directive, in this testo unico, we have put an article which allow Italian government to proceed with this kind of acceleration zone reform, which is a way to further accelerate in the next 5 years the authorization procedure for new renewable plants. I think we are lack of time. I stop here.
Thank you, Alessandro. And now we go again to you, Dr. Rossi. Very easy question. We do want to have more and more renewables, penetration renewables, which of course need a smart grid. So my question to you is, what are the most urgent issues concerning investments to make our grid digitalized and let's say a real efficient digitalized distribution grid? Thank you. the most important investments.
Yeah, you're right. Grids are a key asset because they connect decarbonized power generation and the electrification of consumption. So no grid, no no party. Okay, so what I see in the grids is a big evolution. Okay, part of the evolution, the innovation we need is related to the fact that we need to connect more and more power generation systems. So just to give you some figures, in 2023, approximately 370,000 new generation assets were connected to the distribution grid. 10 years before, this number was 50,000. So just to give you, and the number in terms of growth of renewable that we have listed before give us the trend in the future. So this requires a grid that needs to be smarter. The other point that, in my opinion, is important is the management of emergencies. So the complexity of this story is that we are managing a number of transformations in parallel. One is the energy transformation. The other is the climate change that is impacting the infrastructures we are using to implement the energy transformation. So if we want to provide and to maintain a high level of quality of services, we need to be able to manage these unplanned and emergency situations. And this requires a smart infrastructure. So which are the investments? For sure, modernization. That means integrating the grid new components that come from innovation. So for example, power electronics, we associate power electronics to the inverters of the e-vehicles or of the PV panels, no? But power electronics technologies related to power electronics can support also the grid to be able to stabilize the flow and the stability of the conditions. So modernization, development, that is hardware, and digitalization. That means introduce intelligence and power computing able to process intelligence. So edge computing at secondary station level, supporting analytics, artificial intelligence that can help operating the grid, especially in emergency situations. So this is a lot of investment. What we see, for example, in terms of only digitalization, if we look to the forecasting of the International Energy Agency in the 5 years between 2026 and 2030, compared with the same investments in the 5 years between 2016 and 2020, the difference will be 8 times, just to give the increase at global level, of course. So this requires a lot of investment. So what is required are conditions that support companies to invest in the best way in order to create value also for the service. And one point that I want to state that I think is very smart in the Italian legislation is that at least for investment related to increase of resiliency, new mechanisms that give a premium if you achieve the results. So it's not just remuneration of the capital you invest, but it's also a premium in case you achieve the targets you have declared in terms of quality of service, can create a lot of value in prioritizing, make a priority of investments for the companies who invest and for the system as well, because this means that we are working in the direction of improving the quality of service for the customers and for the industries.
Thanks a lot. Now we have the very last question before closing to President Del Fabbro. And carbon neutral electricity system require a closer collaboration between distributors and transmitters. So what are, in your opinion, the main action that we have to put in collaboration in order to speed up the process?
This is a very good question. Well, I think, first of all, the authorization process for a new installation. As we were saying, we would require a lot of investment on grid enhancement, but also on the transmission enhancement. So permitting process will be key. The second is good synergy between industry and operators, grid operator, transmitter operator. because we have detected in the recent past that there is a lack of people working on this project, which could endanger the timing, so the, let's say, deadline in order to produce and to install a plant or a distribution device or a grid. So I think these are the 2 points very important. Permitting process and industry that can follow the investments that the operators would require.
Thanks a lot. I think that we are right in time to close the symposium. Thanks a lot to all the panelists. I ask you to stay here because then we move for a picture all together. Thanks a lot to the audience. It was really an honor for Politecnico di Torino to have all you here. It's so important to promote all together this kind of event. So we started today to think about the new edition for next year because we are always running. Just a short information, we have a light lunch up there in the room just opposite to this marvelous picture. And let's say, enjoy this weekend and promote energy transition. Thanks a lot and see you next year.